Oh, it's really true. There is enough. There is enough right here and right now. Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend C.C. Coltrane, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Greater Dayton, where we are really about transforming ourselves and then loving the world so well that it's transformed too. If this is your first time here, a welcome, and thank you for sharing your morning with us. On your bulletin cover is a little tear-off form where you can give us your contact information. If you'll fill that out and take it over to the Welcome Center or just put it in the offering basket as it goes around, we'll put you on our mailing list, which we don't share with anyone. Simply use it to send out a little weekly spiritual pick-me-up on Wednesdays and to let you know about a few very special events that come around. Our pulpit assistant this morning is Linda Andriaco. Our vigil holder is Jerry Blumgold, and our interfaith candle lighting will be done by Judy Nussmacher and Lenza Smith. The interfaith candle lighting is to remind us that we learn from and draw from and honor all of the world's spiritual traditions because their mystical side teaches us much the same thing in different words that some land on one heart and others land on another heart. And so we just do that to remind us of the many sources of wisdom that are available to us. Let's see, Mark and who's with the other kids? Carol. Carol is with the 6 to 11 and Mark Coltrane is with the teens. So let's sing to the kids and then they will head out and find their appropriate person to follow back.
You are a 1, 2, 3.
Judaism. Do not be afraid. You will not be put to shame. Do not fear disgrace. You will not be humiliated. You will forget the shame of your youth and remember no more the reproach of your widowhood. The second candle is lit in honor of Christianity. If anyone is caught in any transgression, you who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness. Keep watch on yourself, lest you too be tempted. Bear one another's burdens. The third candle is lit in the honor of Hinduism. Every aspect of existence has a purpose. Human meaning involves a fundamental sense of conscientious accountability. All individuals are considered part of the greater whole, which functions well only when each person fulfills his or her obligations. The fourth candle is lit in the honor of Buddhism. If with a pure mind a person speaks or acts, happiness follows them like a never-departing shadow. The fifth candle is lit in the honor of Jainism. Right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct together is the real path to attain karmic liberation of oneself. The sixth candle is lit in the honor of Native American traditions. Teach me to trust my heart, my mind, my intuition, the senses of my body, the blessings of my spirit, that I may enter into the sacred space and love beyond fear, and thus walk in the balance of each glorious sun. The final candle is lit in the honor of Confucianism. Faced with what is right, to leave it undone shows a lack of courage.
Today's reading is by Ernest Holmes. Ultimately, we shall see that the universe rests on the shoulders of love, that God is love, and that all of the errors of humanity are the results of ignorance of its own true nature. The happy outlook on life is always constructive. The understanding heart is filled with sympathy and helpfulness towards all. An evolved soul judges no one, condemns no one, but realizes that all are on the road of experience, seeking the same goal, and that each must ultimately find his home in heaven. Let's take these words into the silence for a few moments, please. So right here, right now, we are surrounded by God's love. God's love is in the sunshine, the beautiful trees blooming and blossoming, and everything that is sparkling, the smiles of the children as they're playing, and everything that is God is love and is good. And we are part of this love. We are part of this goodness. We are part of a group that is just totally in love with each and everything that is happening in their world. I am thankful for this time. I am thankful for Reverend Cece, for everyone who has shown up, this music, the beautiful band, and everything that is transpiring in this service. And together we say, and so it is.
I think that last song kind of gave my talk for me, so we can all go home now.
Good.
So we've spent June, it's the last Sunday in June already, I can't believe it. We've been talking about our shared value of accountability. I think it's pretty much universally true, no matter what value you're talking about or what culture you're talking about, that we all want to be judged as having accountability. We don't want to be, given the reputation that we don't do what we'll say we'll do. And I know that everyone here wants to be looked at as someone who does what they say they will do. And I know that every one of us falls short of that from time to time, because we're human beings, right? We say we'll do something, we make a promise, and then we just don't follow through. We let somebody down. I did it this morning. There's some people who are going to be having a meeting with me after service, and I promised soup, and yesterday I had a little battle with a weed and wound up spending the afternoon on an ice pack thinking about how bad I hurt instead of the soup I was supposed to be making. So we'll make this meeting very brief, and then you can get on to lunch. Sometimes stuff happens, and we don't follow through with our promises. We get ill or depressed, or we fall in love, or something comes up that derails our memory or whatever, and so we justify the fact that we didn't keep our promises, and we explain and we apologize and we move on. That's part of being human. But what's not okay is when we keep doing it over and over and over again, when we're not accountable to ourselves, when what we value or say we value and what we do are completely out of alignment. That's not okay. That's a recipe for shame. It's a recipe for crushing lack of self-esteem. It's a recipe for despair. It's a recipe for a life that is not the life we want to live. When we're continually out of alignment, when we're out of integrity and out of alignment with our values, I think that becoming accountable to ourselves for our very accountability matters. And I think it matters a lot. So first, I guess we have to become clear on what our values really are, right? What our personal values really are. We sat down as a community a couple of years ago and answered a long questionnaire and figured out what values we hold in common, and those are what we're talking about this year. But it's a very interesting thing, at least it was for me, to write down what I thought my values were and then to look for evidence as to whether I was in alignment with those values or not. You know, I might say that I value being prudent with money, but then if I look in my closet, I realize that I sometimes go crazy buying things I don't really need. I might say that I value a calm and tidy and peaceful life, you know, home. But if you look in my bedroom, or God forbid in my bathroom, you will see that I'm surrounded by clutter. I like my stuff around, you know, my stuff. And some of us say we value having a healthy body, but then we keep doing things that don't give us the kind of healthy body that we like. Or we say we value compassion and courage, but then we shy away from any situation where our compassion and courage might be helpful. Our choices reveal the values we really hold, the most important values. And I think we have to look at the choices that we make and the consequences of those choices to find out what we really value. I think it's clear that I value having all my stuff around where I can see it, right? More than I value a calm, uncluttered existence. Either that or I'm totally out of alignment with my values. And I'm not suggesting that you make a list and then beat yourself up with all the places you're out of alignment. That is the last thing I would suggest. What I'm suggesting is that you become more aware of how your insides and your outsides might not be in alignment. I'm suggesting that we see where we espouse one value and then act it in a different way, where we do things that are out of alignment with our values, our stated values. And in the process, we find out what our values really are. This is all a process of simply becoming more and more conscious of who we are and what we do in life, right? Because the more conscious we are, the better our choices become. The better choices we can make. We can keep the same value, or we can incorporate a new value. We can keep the same behavior, or we can do something different. Whichever way we approach it, the goal is to align the action and the thought with the value, to live in integrity so that we're the same outside as inside. And that requires that we know ourselves. It really does. I remember once, early on, I went to dinner on a Sunday evening with a couple of congregants that were relatively new. And the man said to me, "Do you know you're totally different here than you are up there on Sunday?" And at that point, I didn't know well enough to explain why that was. And it made me feel really odd and ashamed and weird. What I know now is, and I could have said to him, is that's exactly who I am. I can be big and bold and huggy and lovey, and then I have to go into my den and recover for a while because I'm an ambivert. I can be real extroverted provided I get enough introvert time. But I didn't understand it then. I just went. but it made me get to know myself a little better. It made me start to really just watch the patterns of outwardness and inwardness that I do. And now I feel like the inside and the outside, you know, that's how I live, is to take care of the inside, right? So the more conscious we are, the better our choices. The more the inside and the outside correspond. And this is not what we're socialized to do. For some reason, we're socialized to act according to what our circumstances are in the moment. To be chameleon-like, or to wear a mask. To be safe. We feel like we're safer if we wear this mask at this point, or that we'll be able to impress the people we want to impress if we put on that mask over there. It's an interesting thing when we can take a look and see how often we put that mask on, or we act in a way that we think we ought to act, or, you know, we all think of ourselves as rugged individualists, but look around, we're all wearing pretty much the same clothes. We drive kind of the same cars, we eat pretty much the same food. We do all that to fit in without really even knowing what it is we're doing. And we do it, more importantly, without exploring what's really inside ourselves. I was doing a little research the other day, and I came across some studies where researchers asked people a single question and let them come up with their own answer. It wasn't choose one from column A, it was just give us a word. And the question was, what's the single most important quality you look for and admire in other people? And the top two answers, by a huge margin, were honesty and integrity. It seems like our culture, which seems to prize our individuality, should maybe support us in being in integrity with our individuality, right? Support us in being authentic human beings, rather than supporting us in feeling like we ought to put on a mask and be what people want us to be. It seems like maybe our culture's out of integrity. Well, there's really no question about that, is there? We're kind of a little bit off balance today. But what I know to be really true is that to be authentic and to be loved for who we really are is one of our driving forces, isn't it? You just want people to love you for who you are, without hiding it in any way. And yet we're afraid that if they find out who we really are, they won't love us anymore. So I think the first step is to get true with ourselves, to look at what we really value and what we really believe. And to do that, all we have to do is look at our lives. That's all we have to do. We can see what we value, because what we value is what we spend our time, our money, and our emotional energy on. Those are the things we value. I'm trying to get a divorce from my closet. I am. It takes too much energy, too much space, too much worry. When we look at our life experiences, we can sort of see what our values are and where we might be out of alignment with them. If life is mostly upsetting and negative, then we have some inner work to do. If our life is mostly graceful and joyful, then we're in pretty good alignment, in pretty good relationship with the universe. But the point is to really look at what your inside is like and your outside is like, and see, not for purposes of beating yourself up, but for information, where the two are out of alignment, where they don't jive. And the second step is to decide, what do I want my values to be, really? What values do I want to live according to? Values are a choice. Yeah, a lot of them we pick up because they're around, or our parents had them. But we get to change them if we choose to. We get to change them. So when we decide what our values, what we want them to really be, it's a little bit bigger, broader job than we think, I think. Because if we just look on the plane of humanness, we haven't done the job. Thomas Troward, who was a philosopher in the late 19th and early 20th century, and mystic Christianity and New Thought. He wrote this, he said, never fear to be yourself. Yourself, more yourself, and yet more yourself is what you want. Only with the knowledge that the true self includes the inner and higher self, which is always in immediate touch with the great divine mind. So deciding what values we want to live by has to involve opening up to that connection with the divine mind, the universal self, the higher being that each one of us is, not merely looking at what's happening in our circumstances, which is what spiritual practice is all about. You know, meditation helps us see where we're getting stuck on circumstances, and it helps us quiet so that we can hear that inner self, that higher self, because it doesn't scream, it kind of whispers, rumbles maybe a little bit. Kind of sometimes feels like wind tugging at our hair, but it's not loud. And visioning, our spiritual practice of visioning, helps us open up to the greater vision for our lives. The question in visioning is, what is the highest vision for me in my life? Whatever task you're doing, what is the highest vision for all this? Not merely, how can I get it done in a hurry, but what is the highest vision? Because when we work from highest vision, then we start to realize that what the mystics of all ages, of all traditions have told us is true. Every one teaches us that our true nature is that of ultimate reality. God, Brahman, Buddha nature, the Tao, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And when we realize our identity with ultimate reality, we become free. We become free from suffering, because living from that is what brings us joy, peace, and satisfaction. That's the kingdom of heaven that Jesus told us is within ourselves. So our highest values are indeed integrity and love and compassion and joy and well-being and transformation and generosity and service and abundance and kindness and all those things that some call the qualities of God. Our true nature is love. And our true nature is the qualities by which that love gets expressed. So our highest vision is to be those qualities in whatever we're doing. Whether we're shopping for groceries or writing our opus, whether we're singing a song or scrubbing our kitchen floor, you know, our highest vision, our highest, that highest urging from within is to express that in the world, to express that, those qualities of God. Now the shape of the vision is very individual. What it looks like for me to express love is going to be different than what it looks like for you to express love, because we are individualized, right? All of us come from the same value, but we also have these wonderful, quirky, idiosyncratic personalities so we get to choose from that. And so then we have to decide, based on our values, the things we've opened up to, these bywords, watchwords of our highest self, we have to open up to what it is that's ours to be and to do and to have. And I love this quote from our founder, Ernest Holmes, and pardon the archaic language. You know, back then when they said man, they meant everybody, but there's got to be a better way. Anyway, he wrote this. He said, the criterion for any man as to what is right or wrong is not... Let me start over. The criterion for any man as to what is right or wrong for him is not to be found in another man's judgment. The criterion is, does this thing I wish to do express more life, more happiness, more peace to myself, and at the same time harm no one? If so, it is right. I'm going to read that again. Does this thing I wish to do express more life, more happiness, more peace to myself, and at the same time harm no one? If so, it is right. I love that definition. It allows us full freedom full freedom. We can do what we like so long as it brings life and joy and happiness to ourselves and takes nothing away from another. So that means my quirky, particular, idiosyncratic desires can be fulfilled, and so can yours. We can all have more life and more joy and more happiness according to who we really are. And at the same time, we can all be good and kind and loving and authentic and compassionate and honest. And there's no shame or blame or wrongness in choosing what brings me more life for me. And there's no wrongness or shame or blame for you choosing what brings you more life in accordance with these criteria. How could there be? How could there be? How could you possibly be wrong for choosing what brings you more life and more happiness and more joy and harms no one else? Wow. Maybe it's time to lay down all that baggage we picked up, you know? All the baggage about who we should look, who we should be and how we should look and what kind of car we should drive, and about feeling selfish when we decide to curl up with a good book rather than go out with friends, or feeling bad that we choose to go out with friends instead of curling up with a good book. Maybe it's time to let go of the baggage about money, about what men should do and be and women should do and be, about what our lives should look like. Maybe it's time to let go of the baggage about what everybody else should do. Why not just do what brings you more joy, more life, more freedom, as long as it harms nobody else, regardless of gender, size, shape, skin color, sexual orientation, or any other criteria you care to name? And why not just let everybody else do the same? Right? If we were all living that way, you know what it would be? It would be a world that worked for everyone. It really, truly would. It's simpler than we've made it out to be. It's simpler. And it's also more difficult. It's easy for me to make a choice that pleases me. It's the harm no one that's the hard part. It requires some real thought, doesn't it? I mean, if I see a shirt I want to buy, and yeah, look at that, it's only $14 and it's made in Bangladesh by a child who's been forced into slave labor, I probably don't want to buy it, right? I probably don't want to buy it. If I want to eat a certain food, I need to make sure that the way it was made for my own safety, as well as the people who grew it or harvested it or whatever. You know, if something's happening that threatens to harm somebody else and I'm standing there and I need to think about what I can do to make the situation better. Because I want to live according to my espoused values of kindness and compassion and inclusivity and love. The whole point is, because our true nature is of ultimate reality, God, the Tao, Buddha nature, consciousness itself, it becomes our task to get conscious, to be conscious about our choices, to be conscious about the consequences. It becomes our joyous task to involve that highest nature in all our choices. And it really is joyous. It feels deeply integrative to do something from our very deep selves, even a hard thing, and know that that's why we did it. There's a deep joy attached to that. It becomes our task to choose joy and to choose happiness and choose well-being and choose peace and choose life for ourselves in such a way that everybody's joy and happiness and peace and life is increased. It becomes our task in the modern parlance to say out loud, you can pee next to me, you can sit next to me, you can stand next to me, and I will stand next to you. It becomes our task to earn and spend and eat and live in accordance with our highest and greatest values, with our highest and greatest vision for ourselves, so that our insides and our outsides are the same. That is our biggest, highest task, I think, right now. It becomes our task to be accountable to our highest nature, to the values that live closest to our souls, to the ideas that spring from the deepest part of our being, from the words and actions that come from our divine nature, not our frightened human selves, but from our divine nature. Because I think that's the way that we align our words and our actions with our values with our nature, and our nature with our God, our ultimate reality. This is how we become, as Thomas Troward put it, ourselves, and yet more ourselves. So let's just join in a moment of contemplation and prayer, shall we? I just invite you to let your awareness drop from your head down into the space of your heart. And I invite you to allow your breathing to relax your body. And I invite you to feel, if you can, your heart beating within your body. The heart that is the dwelling place of the soul, the crossing point between that merely human and that ultimate reality. The mystics have always said that the dwelling place of the soul is the heart. The dwelling place of the consciousness of the Christ is in the heart. The dwelling place of awareness of ultimate reality is in the heart. And so too, it is in the heart where we find ourselves in alignment with our innermost self and our outer self. It is the heart that whispers to us, "My beloved, you are a being of light and love, and you deserve all good things, all joy, all happiness, all peace. And you are here to give the gift that only you can give. And my beloved, I support you in giving it to its fullest possible extent." This is where we hear that still small voice that reminds us that our true nature is divine. That we rest on the power of infinity. And that all we are is a wave on the ocean of ultimate reality. Individualized in expression, yet backed by that same power and life and goodness that created everything. And so as we rest there on this vast and loving surface, what I know for each one of us is that we become more and more clear on what it is that our heart speaks to us, that our soul urges us to do, that our deepest and highest self reminds us are our true values. Compassion and love, mercy and forgiveness, compassion and joy, health and abundance, happiness, bliss and peace. And that we simply, lovingly, forgivingly, open-heartedly look at our lives and through the lens of those values. And our choices become brilliant. Our choices become breathtaking. Our choices grow us in everything that we do in every moment of our days. We are transformed from the inside out. And knowing that each one of us here is aligned with this leaning forward into transformation, I give thanks. I give thanks for the time we've had together today to celebrate and to explore and to love. I give thanks for life itself, this amazing adventure of getting to know ourselves more and more deeply. Getting to know God, Spirit, the universe more and more deeply. And getting to know each other and our deep connection better and more deeply every day. And so in Thanksgiving, I simply let go. I remember that ocean on which I float effortlessly. That which expresses itself through me. I just remember that it's already said yes. Yes, my beloved, yes. And so I simply let go and I let it be. And we say together, and so it is. Here comes our ushers. Right now we have an opportunity to align with our shared value of generosity as we have an opportunity to give to support the work of this center. Because your generosity is what makes it possible for us to provide opportunities for connection, classes and groups for spiritual practice and learning, and so much more. All the things that we do here. And I'm so grateful for each one of you. I can't say thank you enough for making it possible for us to be here 7 days a week. If you'll take your gift in your hands, or if you give electronically as I do in your heart, and just know with me, I am joyful.
I am joyful.
I am free.
I am free.
I am grateful.
I am grateful.
I give with gratitude.
I give with gratitude.
And I say yes
And I say yes
to all the good life has to offer.
to all the good life has to offer.
And so it is. I love that song. So a couple of quick announcements. If you'd like to help out with the interfaith candle lighting on the third Sunday of each month, there's a sign-up sheet on the bulletin board over there. I think we're covered for July, but we have one slot in August and from then on. So please go and sign up if you'd like to help out in that way. We'd love to have you. And also if you want to help with the video camera, which pretty much involves bringing it out of the office and sticking it on that pole and turning it on, you can talk with Stephanie Stewart or Jerry Blumgold, who's here today. She's been in the back on vigil, and Stephanie's here during the week. The food barrel is out front because we want it to be filled up at least twice between now and July 9th, because summer in the food bank is really difficult. You know, school is out, and so lots of kids don't get to eat. And so we're trying to help to support the food bank, to support our kids by providing them with food during the summer. So anything non-perishable, you can bring it in and put it in the barrel. In your bulletin, there's a flyer, and on the back it talks about the most needed items. So let's see if we can make it more than 2 barrels and feed some kids this summer. As I said last week, and I'm just reminding you, I'll be out for a month, sort of doing nothing, which is a good thing. And we have 4 of our fabulous practitioners who are up to speak in July. I think you're going to love it. It's going to be really, really good. So show up, support the practitioners, and support yourself, because sometimes, you know, we hear something from somebody else and it just goes click for us. So I will be back at the last Sunday in July. And in the meantime, have a fabulous month. Take a look at the last page of your bulletin insert for things that are coming up so you don't miss anything. There's always a lot happening. And if you'd like prayer after the service, please see one of our practitioners. They're all, except for Becky, wearing teal or white stoles. And what their gift to you on Sunday is something we call a 1-minute miracle. They can take you into a quiet corner and help you to be able to see, because they have studied and worked for a long time to be able to see the spiritual truth that's underneath the circumstances. And so they're happy to do that with you on Sundays. You can also put a written prayer request in the prayer chest. We'll pick it up after service, or you can call the prayer line, or even go to our website and make a prayer request there. I think that is it. Yes. So for the first 3 minutes after service, remember, don't talk to anybody you know real well. Find somebody new and start a conversation. And don't forget to get your 10 hugs at least before you leave. Thanks to everybody, all of you out there, for being here this morning. And to our ushers and greeters and our practitioners and the welcome team. And of course, the band. Yay! You're amazing. And let's stand for a closing affirmation and our closing song, which is Stand. How easy is that? So please know with me. I consciously choose the highest vision.
I consciously choose the highest vision
For myself and my life.
for myself and my life.
I align my actions with my values.
I align my actions with my values
And allow the vision to unfold
and allow the vision to unfold
in magnificence.
in magnificence.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Have a great week, everybody.
1, 2.